Ethiopia is a country in the Horn of Africa. It is also the largest and most populated country in the region. It has been landlocked since 1993, when Eritrea gained independence after a 30-year war. Ethiopia is one of the world's oldest countries and has been in continuous existence for over a millennium. Keep watching as we take a look at the long and incredible history of Ethiopia. The history of humans in Ethiopia is so vast that our ancestors inhabited it since before we became Homo sapiens. Some historians believe that bone fragments found in the lower Awash River Valley, belonging to Australopithecus afarensis, an ape-like creature thought to be an ancestor of modern humans, could be up to 3.4 million years old. Modern researchers, including Dr. Gotz Ossendorf, have presented evidence for the oldest examples of human settlement and adaptation to areas above 4,000-meter elevation. Their findings come after excavations at a rock shelter in Ethiopia's Bale Mountains, which revealed evidence of human occupation during the late Pleistocene era. Findings include obsidian artifacts and burned animal bones, and demonstrated how humans were able to survive in glacial high-altitude areas. Pastoralism, a form of animal husbandry where livestock is released onto large pastures for grazing, developed in Ethiopia between the 8th and 6th centuries BCE. This practice evolved into agriculture by the second millennium, when cereal grains and the plow were introduced. Historians speculate that agriculture was brought from Sudan, as a Semitic-speaking people came to dominate the northern highlands of Tigray. These migrants established the Kingdom of Dumt, which dominated the lands of the west. The Kingdom of Dumt became a trading center, selling ivory, rhinoceros' horn, gold, silver, tortoiseshell, and enslaved people to South Arabian merchants. This kingdom lost its hegemony when trade routes were diverted eastward due to more accessible access to coastal ports, and a number of competing city-states formed. These cities vied for dominance until one inland state, Aksum, unified the area under its rule. Aksum was based on the Tigray Plateau and controlled many trade routes, dominating the ivory trade into Sudan. There is ample evidence of close ties with Aksum and the Arabian Peninsula due to their modified South Arabian alphabet, worship of Middle Eastern deities alongside local gods and goddesses, and their sculpture and architecture, which appear to be based on a South Arabian archetype. Whether this influence was purely cultural or the product of South Arabian immigrants moving to the area is still debated by scholars. As with any society, Ethiopia's past is intermixed with legend, and the link between Ethiopia and the Middle East is demonstrated with the tale of the Queen of Sheba. As well as in Jewish and Islamic traditions, the Queen of Sheba, called Bilqis in the Islamic tradition, appears in the Kebra Nagast, which is the Ethiopian foundation story. In Ethiopian legends, she is called Makeda and is tricked into the bed of King Solomon and becomes pregnant. Makeda's son, Menelik I, was made king and founded the royal Solomonic dynasty in Ethiopia. Aksum's geographical location made it a dominant trading power in the region. In addition to the discovery of coins that bear the effigies of Aksumite emperors, a Greek travel book from the 1st century entitled Periplus Maris Etheria describes the port city of Aedalis. The book lists Aedalis, now located in Eritrea, as an open harbor and a bustling trade community. It was a multicultural metropolis and contained settlements of Greco-Roman merchants. Trade flourished in Aksum, allowing the influx of a new religion in the 300 CE. Christianity reached Ethiopia during the reign of Emperor Ezana, who came to power as a young boy and was converted to Christianity by his tutor, Frumentius. Frumentius was a Phoenician Christian missionary and the first bishop of Aksum. By the mid-5th century, the Ethiopian church had split with the bishops of Rome and Constantinople due to theological developments, but continued to follow the Coptic church based in Alexandria. Aksum's power and influence increased in the 6th century, but when the Persians ended Christian power in South Arabia, trade with Aksum was disrupted. Aksum's trade was limited further in the 7th and 8th centuries when the Arabs cut off trade to the Mediterranean. As Aksum's trade routes on the Red Sea diminished, the country began to expand its borders and religion into the south. Eventually, the Agau, an influential group in the region, became a dominant force and were able to move the seat of power from Aksum to Lasta, where they were based. The Agau founded the Zagwe Dynasty, which later was deemed not to be a pure Solomonic dynasty. The Zagwe Dynasty continued to spread Christianity, with Emperor Lalibela carving churches out of solid rock in the late 12th and early 13th centuries. However, claims that the dynasty did not descend from Makeda and King Solomon ultimately caused its downfall. In the late 1200s, monastic churchmen legitimized the rebellion of Yakuna Amlak, whom they asserted was a descendant of Solomon. During the 13th century, Islam became increasingly prevalent in the areas surrounding Ethiopia. This caused Emperor Amda to wage religious wars to try and curb the influx of Islam into the region, as well as retain political and territorial supremacy. As the Solomonic monarchs were also heads of the church, they actively repressed pagan practices and promoted the writing of doctrinal and theological works. The 14th century saw the publication of Kebra Nagast, or the Glory of King. This collection of legends formally asserted the Judeo-Christian history of Ethiopia and related to the birth of Menelik I. The book helped cement national unity by promoting the Solomonic dynasty. Although the Solomonic emperors were all Christian, they didn't always have good relations with the church. The Shewan Solomonics clashed with the monks until the late 14th century, although the royals were able to secure the church's loyalty by granting lands to the monks. The Ethiopian emperors continued to resist Muslim encroachment, which led Ahmed ibn Ibrahim el-Ghazi to lead a holy war against Ethiopia in the 16th century. Ahmed had used Ottoman tactics to take areas around Ethiopia and eventually pushed into the central highlands, destroying Christian churches and monasteries. During the mid-16th century, the Portuguese, who also wanted to undermine Muslim authority in the Red Sea, came to the aid of Ethiopia, sending musketeers to bring European tactics to Ethiopia's fighting force and help train the Ethiopian army. These new methods led to Ahmed's death in 1543 and a Christian victory in north-central Ethiopia. In the south, a new power was forming in the shape of a pastoral people called the Oromo. The Oromo took full advantage of the weakness of both Christian and Muslim states that was a result of their conflict. The rise in power of the Oromo restricted the power of the emperor, whose government was then limited to the Christian Semitic-speaking agricultural areas. By the 17th century, the Ethiopian church was undergoing more changes. The Portuguese were keen to reinstate Roman Catholicism in Ethiopia and sent missionaries to try and convert the Ethiopian Christians to the Roman Church. Emperor Sisenios, who ruled from 1607 to 1632, was persuaded by the Jesuit missionary Pedro Paez to accept the doctrine of the Holy Trinity and submit to the Pope. The submission was met with resistance from the Ethiopian Church, as well as the provincial nobles and the general population, which caused Sisenios to abdicate. Sisenios was succeeded by his son, Vassilides, who established a new capital at Gondar. This city became a thriving trading center that peaked in the late 17th and early 18th centuries when art, education, and religious diversity flourished. Culture thrived during the 18th century, particularly under Empress Mentuap, who reigned as regent for her son and grandson from 1730 to 1769. However, this period of cultural growth died with Mentuap, and friction between ethnic, regional, and religious groups gradually led to the collapse of the kingdom. Throughout the latter half of the 18th century and into the 19th century, there was a period of anarchy known as the Age of Princes. During this time, power that had been centralized until then was shifted to regional leaders who all vied for control. The increase in warfare impacted the agricultural population, who had to contend with warring armies plundering their harvests and destroying fields. The Solomonic line was continued in northern Shewa, where they established a kingdom and prosperous trade. The first self-proclaimed king of Shewa was Selassie, who reigned from 1813 to 1847. This kingdom soon controlled areas from the Awash River to Garage. In the north, a military leader named Kasa Haile was building up an army. He was crowned Emperor Tawadros II in 1855. After marching his army south, he attempted to unify Ethiopia, and his consolidation of power over the separate states led to the formation of modern Ethiopia. Tawadros attempted a social overhaul. However, he soon lost the loyalty of the peasantry due to heavy taxation and the support of the church by converting church land for military use. In 1862, Tawadros turned to the British for support and offered Queen Victoria an alliance to destroy Islam. However, his offer was ignored, causing a diplomatic breakdown when Tawadros imprisoned the British envoy in Ethiopia. In 1868, Britain led an Anglo-Indian military expedition, during which the British gave money and weapons to the Jajazmak, Earl of Tigray, in order to secure passage inland and send in troops. Tawadros, determined to evade capture, committed suicide on April 13, 1868. In the years that followed, Ethiopia's new emperor, Johannes IV, clashed with Egypt and Italy, with Italy trying to buy the favor of the Shawan king, Solomonic, with thousands of rifles. Despite having been forced to submit to Johannes, Solomonic remained loyal to the emperor. Yet, when Johannes was shot and killed at Matema in 1889, Solomonic declared himself Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia. As Menelik II, he signed a treaty with Italy, granting the Italians rule of Eritrea. However, the Italian version of the Treaty of Haile had a clause that put Rome in charge of Ethiopia's foreign relations. This term was not included in the Amharic text. At first, Menelik II tried to solve these issues diplomatically, but having built up supplies and his army, Menelik II used military force to expel Italian forces. On March 1, 1896, the Italians were defeated at the Battle of Adwa, and the Treaty of Haile was annulled. Menelik's grandson and heir, Iyyasu, took power in 1913 and established a religiously and ethnically tolerant society, integrating Muslims into the administration. However, during World War I, the Shawan aristocrats deposed Iyyasu in 1916. Iyyasu was replaced by his aunt, Zuditu, but it was unusual for a woman to rule. Menelik's cousin, Ras Tafari, was named regent and heir. Ras Tafari brought Ethiopia into the League of Nations in 1923, hired foreign advisors to help Ethiopia's external image, and helped develop the beginnings of a modern bureaucracy. The economy boomed thanks to the export of coffee, and investment in infrastructure facilitated trade. In 1930, after the death of Zuditu, Ras Tafari declared himself emperor and was crowned Haile Selassie I. He implemented modern institutions, such as indirectly elected bicameral parliament, and invested more in infrastructure, including hospitals, schools, and other public services. Ethiopia's success threatened Italy's ambitions in the region, and Benito Mussolini began to prepare for war with Ethiopia in 1934. Haile Selassie was confident that the League of Nations would give his country security. Still, toward the end of 1935, the Italians invaded and overpowered the Ethiopian troops, forcing Haile Selassie into exile. When Italy joined the Axis powers in 1940, the UK officially recognized Haile Selassie as an ally. By January 1941, a British-led Ethiopian army retook Ethiopia, and Haile Selassie quickly organized his own government despite the British intending to occupy the country. In the years after the war, coffee production increased, boosting the economy. Yet by the 1960s, internal conflicts between the government and the emperor were evident. In 1975, Ethiopia's monarchy was formally abolished, and Ethiopia was established as a Marxist-Leninist state until 1987. Today, Ethiopia is officially a developmental democracy and is known as the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about Ethiopia, check out our book, Ethiopia, A Captivating Guide to Ethiopian History and the Second Italo-Abyssinian War. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Also, grab your free Mythology Bundle ebook while it's still available. All links are in the description. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.